Hi, this is Vic Caroli. I narrated the original Transformers movie, Generation 1, back in 1986. I also narrated the entire cartoon series, as well as the bulk of the commercials for the Transformer toys. I was also the voice of Tirac, the evil centaur, in My Little Pony, as well as a great many other voices, commercials, Discovery Channel narrations, etc. But right now, it's the year 2021, and you're currently watching In Conversation with Amber the Fangirl, ATF.
Hi guys, Amber here. Welcome back to another episode of In Conversation with ATF. My guest today is best known for being the narrator of the G1 Transformers cartoon and also the movie. You know, actually, take it away. Take it away, Victor. Take it away if you can.
Hi, well, I'm really happy to be here, Amber. I'm very, very flattered that a person as young as you and as far away as you is interested in something that happened way, way, way before you were born, close to 38 years ago, I think. And this is the 35th anniversary of Transformers the movie, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
And there's quite a lot of stuff going on about it now. This is, I think, about the third Zoom interview that I've done about this. And I think this one and the one with Giorgio, and there was one other person that called me about it. I forget who it was, but it's quite a deal, and it's quite the Transformers means a lot to a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
And I'm quite surprised that younger people such as yourself are interested in the G1 stuff, because the graphics in the G1, which of course were state of the art back in 1986 when the movie came out, you look at it now compared to the CGI stuff that they do now, it looks pretty old. But and as I mentioned to you earlier, Amber, before we went on the air, I was quite surprised to find out that the Transformers became a cult, because when I did this, it all started with the toys, and I auditioned for a commercial for the toys at the Griffin McCall Advertising Agency in New York City, and I won the audition, and so I started doing the commercials for the toys for Hasbro, and they had little action figures and things they did, and then they decided they wanted to make a movie. And they called me and called my agent. They said, we'd like to be the narrator of this movie. I said, okay. So they worked something out, and I narrated the movie. And I didn't think anything of it. And I said, okay, it's a job. It's what I do for a living. I made enough money to make a living doing this stuff. I did commercials and Discovery Channel narrations and that sort of thing. So I didn't think anything about it. And years later, and at that time, of course, we did not have Google, and we did not have the internet and all that stuff. So then all of a sudden, Google and all that stuff comes out, and I Google my name, and oh my gosh, all this stuff comes about the amazing narration of Victor Caroli and the amazing, and it turns out the Transformers are a cult. There's so many people that are so wrapped up in the whole Transformers thing. I thought, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this is going on. And the other interesting thing that Amber and I were talking about earlier, that she found quite remarkable, well, I don't know how the rest of you will, when people find out that I'm the G1 Transformers narrator, they say, oh, well, what was it like working with all those people, Michael Bell and Subu and all those people? And I say to them, I've never met them. And they say, what do you mean you've never met them? I say, look, they were in Los Angeles. I was in New York.
That's the big plot twist.
And I would record my track in New York. And, in the year 2005, the Autobots and the Decepticons were fighting a war for the planet.
There it is, the famous line.
Yeah, that's the very opening of the movie. And so they would take my tracks that I did in the movie and then just send them to Los Angeles. And the guys in Los Angeles would just, plug them in to wherever they had to go. And it wasn't until I don't know, a week or so ago, a week and a half or so ago. Giorgio, what's the last name?
Just bear with me one moment.
Boy.
George Sirois, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Sirois.
Yeah, George Sirois.
Yeah.
Did a Zoom meeting with about 5 or 6 of us. And it was a gallery thing. And that's when I finally met Michael Bell and Sue Blue and all these other people. And they all said to me, wow, Vic, it's really nice to see what you look like. We've been hearing your voice all these years. You know, when we would do it in the studio, we'd hear your voice being laid in and all that kind of stuff. And so we really felt, and I felt good about this. They all said, we really felt like you were one of us, even though we had no idea what you looked like at all. Didn't know how old you were or anything about you. So it's really interesting to see, what you look like. So that's kind of my story with Transformers. Of course, I don't do any Transformers work anymore now. I'm pretty much retired. And if my agent sends me an audition, I'll do the audition if I get it. If I get it, I won't. But I live in Naples, Florida, and I'm very comfortable. Although right now outside it's about 1,000 degrees with matching humidity. It's hot, very hot and humid.
It's been tipping it down here. It's literally just been non-stop rainfall for the past 5 hours.
Well, sure, of course, live in England.
We had a heat wave for about a week.
I think that I've been to London. I think maybe 2 or 3 times.
Really?
And every time I go to London, it rains. It's just you have an umbrella glued to your side when you go to London because it's just always raining there. But I love London. It's just we stayed at the Savoy one of the times we went there. Right in the West End. And I'm a theater guy, so I love going. There's a theater that's right there. Oh my
God, you're my type of guy.
Right outside the Savoy, there's a theater. Boom, right there. And there's the big eye that we went on. You've got all these wonderful museums. It's just a great city. I love London. Someday I'm going to go there when it doesn't rain. But anyway, that's my Transformers story. I'm not associated with it anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, one thing, I was going to go to. Somebody called me about what they call it, a TCOM, a Transcom.
TFCon.
TFCon. It was going to be in Orlando, Florida. And this fellow called me up. I forget his name now. And he called me up. And he said, would you be interested in going to this? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll go. And he was going to, we were going to pay my way there. It's only about a three-hour drive from where I live. So I said, yeah. I said, if you'll pay my way for me and my wife and put us up and give me a stipend, for the daily stipend, for food and stuff. He said, yeah, we'll absolutely do that. I said, cool. I said, we'll come. So we were all set to go, and then bam, COVID hits.
Oh.
And the whole thing was canceled. So I didn't get to go, and I'm really sad about that.
That reminds me of something. Obviously I met Peter and Frank just before the pandemic hit. That was about 10 days before the UK went into lockdown. I met them, so it was just in the nick of time. If that event was a week later, I would not have met them. And we have our own TFCon over here. We have TF Nation. We've never had Peter or Frank come to any events though. But we were gonna have Peter Cullen last year at TF Nation in Birmingham with Summerlee Montano and Tanya Gunardi, who are from Transformers Prime, the CGI series. COVID hit, cancelled that. So yeah.
No, it's wrecked a lot of things. It's ruined a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be my first TF Transformers convention appearance, so hopefully they get Peter rebooked for 2022, and hopefully I can see him then.
I hope so. Now we got this Delta thing going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's
over here. We got all these crazy people that just refuse to get vaccinated, and
I just had a letter in the post saying I'm now able to get a vaccine. 16 and 17-year-olds in the UK are allowed to get the vaccine now, so I'm probably going to get. I'm going to get mine soon if it's at if it's near me. The nearest one to get vaccinated at for 17-year-olds is about 10 miles away from me, all the way up the Wirral in Merseyside. So I'm going to wait until there's a clinic more closer to me.
Oh, well, listen, I had to travel all the way to the other side of Florida, probably about an hour and 40 minutes to get mine. And I had a friend who had to travel all the way to Pensacola, which is about an 8-hour drive.
Oh, wow.
Florida's long
Uh-huh.
and narrow, and we live way down near the bottom, and Pensacola is all the way up near the top. And he had to drive for 8 hours. And you had to get the second shot in the same place you got the first shot. So Mike had to go all the way back for the second shot.
Oh,
He and his wife just went, they made a little 3-day vacation. But I highly recommend getting a shot. I felt when my wife and I were driving back from the second shot, we kind of went, we feel a lot better now that we've had this second shot. We just feel much better, much safer. And when the booster comes out, we'll be very much after the immunocompromised people get theirs. We older folks are going to be the next ones in line. You guys could be the last ones.
Literally, I've been waiting about a year to get my vaccine because I'm in the younger age category.
Yeah, you're down the bottom of the list there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're not just actually, before I come to that, I've noticed that you were involved in Transformers again recently. You were the narrator for one episode of Titan's Return.
I was?
Yeah, it just says on IMDb you were the narrator in one episode from 2017. Judd Nelson was in it as Hot Rod, Peter Cullen was Optimus Prime, Noah North, Abby Trott.
Why not? Was it a new one or was it a re-release?
I believe it was on Machinima. I think those are the guys who made it.
I don't recall actually doing it.
Oh.
Maybe I did, because I used to do an awful lot of work.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it's hard to remember what I did. But by 2017, I was kind of starting to slow down because I kind of went into semi-retirement.
Yeah.
In 1965. I'm 79 now. And I turned 65 in 2007. So I kind of started letting the work kind of drift off a little bit because I didn't want to just, kill myself because I didn't have to change my lifestyle. I'm okay now, And so I don't remember. But I do remember going on to my IMDb page and seeing that and thinking, wait a minute, 2017? I don't remember that, but if it's there, it's there.
IMDb can sometimes be fake because anyone can edit it.
Well, I guess it could.
Yeah. Same as Wikipedia, so.
But, I guess maybe.
Yeah.
But it could have been a re-release or something. I don't know. But I don't recall doing it. But I did so much stuff, and people mentioned things in there that I said, oh, yeah. On my when I Google my name, people said, well, he was the voice of this. And I go, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. It's kind of semi-related. It has to do with all that action figure stuff and all that was going on in those days.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that work, and I just don't recall it. Yeah. I did a lot of Mattel toy stuff as well, and things like wrecking ball things and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I've sold everything from tires to perfume to hair to shampoos, and Discovery Channel narrations, and medical films, sales presentation films, and just about anything that anybody would pay me to record.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You are not just Victor Caroli from the Transformers. You're also...
It's really what I'm best known for, but no, I've done lots. The only thing I've always refused to do is I will not do political advertising for either side.
I agree. I'm not a political person.
But I keep my politics out of my business. A guy that I knew.
You're a good man, Victor. You're good.
That I knew that was friend who lived very close to me when I lived in Connecticut years ago. He was a big shot at one of the advertising agencies, and I knew him. We were friends, and he called me up one day. And he offered me one of the presidential campaign advertising jobs, and it was really, really lucrative. It was going to be a lot of money. And I said, Carl, I just can't do it. He said, what do you mean? What do you mean you can't do it? I said, Carl. He said, well, you're on our side, aren't you? And I said, well, basically, basically not independent. But I agree with a lot of what your guy has to say. But I just don't mix politics and business. I just don't think it's a good idea.
I don't either. You're my kind of guy.
Yeah. But anything else, it comes along the lines. And I like doing different things. That's the fun part.
Yeah, as I said, you're not just from TF, you've also you were the voice of the paralysed horse in Bravest Warriors. You were also Tirac from My Little Pony.
Tirac, oh God.
Yeah.
That was so much fun, My Little Pony, yeah.
And you were the narrator for Extreme Forensics for the Discovery Channel.
I did this Extreme Forensics for a while, yeah.
So I was gonna say, I'd love to talk to you about like the other stuff you've done. Like, what about My Little Pony? What's it like, My Little Pony?
My Little Pony was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun because I got to be the bad guy, and I have a great evil laugh. I have it on I'm on this thing called Cameo. I don't know if you know what that is. Oh yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Personalized messages,
yeah.
And my introductory piece, I inserted a Transformers clip, and I inserted a clip from Tirac from My Little Pony, and it was the original My Little Pony because My Little Pony again is a big franchise thing.
Yeah, we've got a new film coming out. It's all CGI-ish now.
Yeah, I think it's still going on, and there was someone said that there was another guy that had done some Tirac stuff, and there was a big thing about somebody who said, well, who do you think is better, this guy or that guy? This guy. Oh, no, I think it's better. No, I think the other guy's better. No, I think he's better. I think the other guy's better. And it was a lot of fun doing it. Sandy Duncan, who was a movie star.
Love Sandy Duncan.
Wow, yeah. She got her start in a commercial, and a Noxema commercial. Do you have a product called Noxema over there? It comes in a blue. It's a skin cream thing. It's blue. It's very, very big product.
I've never heard of it.
And she was in an Noxema commercial because she was very young, and she was very pretty, and she had this wonderful complexion. And a guy would come up to her in the commercial, and he would say, "Hey, I ever tell you have just a lovely skin?" And she just kind of smiled, and she had those nice eyes, and she was, oh gosh, she was pretty shy. And from those commercials, she went on to television and movies and all that kind of stuff. Just from that commercial, she went right on to that.
Yeah.
And she was the lead. She was the voice of the lead pony in the original My Little Pony, and I was the original Tirac. I was also the voice of MTV, the original voice of MTV. I was the voice of the first two MTV Video Music Awards presentation shows.
Wow!
I did the promos for the original. Actually, I think they had a guy for the first 5 or 6 weeks, and they didn't like him very much. So then they got me, and I was on for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then then another guy took over. But I was on MTV for a long time, and then there were I did CoverGirl and Noxema, which were related. I did all their commercials for about 12 years.
Wow.
I did all their commercials. So my voice is, on my Cameo thing, intro ends up with, so if you want to send a message to someone for a birthday or whatever, why not use a voice that's been heard by millions of people for many years? Because it has. My voice has been out there, and even though people don't recognize my face, because I did a couple of on-camera commercials, 50 odd years ago, but they were just local commercials. But my voice has been on the airwaves in this country, and actually other countries as well, but mostly this country, for 50 years. It's been all over the airwaves. Rock and roll. I did rock and roll stations, the kind of things like if it's too loud, you're too old. Kiss 95 FM. Now, I did a lot of that kind of stuff for radio stations, and I've been all over the place for, again, half a century. My voice has been out there, and so that's my kind of my Cameo presentations. If you want to say hello to somebody or wish somebody a happy birthday from a voice that people know, even though they can't quite pinpoint. Wait, that's the Transformers guy. Oh, wait, that's the guy. That's Tirac. That's the voice of Tirac. Oh, wait, that's TV guy. Whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a fun way to make a living. I always tell people, well, it was either that or work for a living. It was easy work. It was easy work. It was fun. It was easy to do. The guys were all great that I used to work with. All the engineers, the people in the studio and all that. It was fun, and I didn't have to go to the same place every day. I didn't have to sit in an office at a desk and work with the same people every day. I got to go to different places, different studios, different casting directors, different advertising agencies for auditions, in fact. So that was the part of the fun too, And I didn't have to dress up.
That's the perks about voice acting.
Yeah, I got to wear sneakers and jeans and sweatshirts and whatever I wanted to wear because I didn't have to deal with clients or the public in any way. I was just in the studio with
exactly.
And they dressed the same way, and that was another fun part of the job. And I didn't know what they were going to want from me when I got there. I got there. And they said, my agent would just tell me, "You're going to work for so and so at this studio, and you just go there." So okay, I didn't know what was going to. I just knew the name of the product. I didn't have the copy yet, so I get to the studio, and they said, "Okay, here's what you can say, and here's kind of the general idea of it." So I'm going to go in the studio and we start working. Yeah, and okay, this part. Can you start out kind of like when you get to the end, you make it a little, darken it up a little bit, make it a little more. Oh, okay. So you get to work, and I used to call it painting with your voice. They don't do that anymore these days. Now it's just they're all celebrities now, and much taking over the market. I don't know if you noticed, but in our country, AT&T. This is one of the big mobile phone people. They used to have this gentleman, Dennis Haysbert, who's a very big, tall, wonderful black actor. He's an on-camera actor. He's a movie actor, but he was hired as an on-camera spokesman. And then I guess he's gone now, and they just went with a voiceover person, and they're using Alicia Keys as the voiceover person. They're not going to use a regular person. They're going to use a celebrity, and I'm glad that back in the 70s,
that annoys me.
They didn't really use very many celebrities at all. So what I call us the peasant voiceovers.
Yeah, that annoys me. That with this whole celebrity typecasting thing, it reminds me.
Yeah, they're completely fascinating.
Yeah,
I made my money back when we did all the big stuff. Yeah. We did all the beers. We did all the cars. We did all that stuff.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for the younger guys coming up, trying to make the kind of money that we were able to make. It's virtually impossible.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of? There was a new Scooby-Doo film that came out last year. They recast all of the voices with celebrities like Will Forte, Zac Efron, Gina Rodriguez, and Amanda Seyfried.
Really? And previously they were regular
voice by voice actors. But they did not recast Scooby. They kept Frank Welker as the voice of Scooby-Doo.
Oh, good. I guess
that's the only good thing they did for the film.
Well, people get used to a certain voice as the lead person, and they're going to go, "Oh yeah, that's Scooby-Doo."
They're not gonna get Danny DeVito to do a Scooby-Doo voice, but to be fair, that would be quite funny. I would watch that, but I'd rather have Frank in the role.
The heck of it is, most people don't recognize those celebrity voices. Now, some celebrity voices.
I recognise none of them apart from Zac Efron, only because I grew up watching High School Musical. I don't know the other guys we've watched things. So yeah.
I think most people. I know that I don't recognize. My wife, who has an amazing ear for voices on TV, better than mine, she heard Alicia Keys, and she thought that it was the woman that used to play. There used to be a show on TV that I don't know if you remember because you're so young, called CSI Miami.
I've heard of it.
There was a woman, this very exotically beautiful black woman. Oh my God, she was so gorgeous. She played the medical examiner, and the actress's name was Candy Alexander, and she had this very sexy, wonderful voice. And my wife thought it was her. She said, "I think that's Candy Alexander's voice. It sounds like her." Turned out she was wrong. It's Alicia Keys. And so, the celebrities have pretty much taken over the voiceover market now.
Good singer, but would not recommend for voiceover.
Well, it's difficult. Now, I get a lot of calls from people who find out that I've done voiceover. Whenever I do a play, I do a lot of community theater work now. I was just hired recently to play a Holocaust survivor in plays done at schools and things around the area here. So whenever I do a play, and some of the actors find out that I'm a voiceover guy, how do you get into that? People tell me I am this way. So I said, well, it's very, very, it's so different. Now, I got into the voiceover business, believe it or not. Now you're going to think, oh my God, this guy old. In the fall of 1968.
So around the time Frank Welker got into the voice. So you've been in voiceover just as much as he has.
Well, a lot of us, let's face it, a lot of us guys that were, guys and gals that were Generation 1.
Yeah.
And we're old. There aren't a lot of 35-year-olds. There are no 35-year-olds that were in Generation 1. Those guys weren't born yet. Anyway, I got into the business in the late fall 1968, and my first year as a completely in show business, where I was being paid as an equity actor and doing SAG and AFTRA commercials, was 1969. I made a complete living, and I've done so ever since 1969, all the way up to now. And back then, to get into voiceover, well, we had to make tapes, audition tapes. Yeah. We couldn't do MP3s. We didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have Google. We had nothing at all. We had answering services. And every once in a while, you would call your answering service and say, hi, it's Vic. Any messages for me? And they'd say, yeah, you got one here about 15 minutes ago. Your agent called. Call him back. Or no messages for you. And your answering service had other phone numbers of people, of other places you might be. Yeah. Your brother's house, your mom's house, other friends whose houses you might be, because if it was an urgent call, then they would call these other numbers for you. They knew they might try to get hold of you. That's how it operated. Then the pager came along, and it would just go beep, 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 and you knew to call your answering service. Okay. Or then the pager came along with a number that would be on it. Mm-hmm. So you knew who called you.
Wow.
But you had to go to a payphone. Do you know what a payphone is?
Yes, we still have them in the.
Yeah, yours are these lovely payphones.
It's not my microphone over.
You have these great payphones, these beautiful red
telephone boxes.
Not
a lot of them are red anymore. A lot of them
our
are just
payphones
grey.
are all crashed and run. But we had to go to a payphone and put it. At the time, it was like a dime or something. Now it's a quarter. Now they don't have it. You had to go find a payphone, and then you had to call the number that was on the payphone. Usually it was your agent calling. And then, what came after the pager? Something else came after the pager. But it slowly worked up to, finally, cell phones came out. Yeah. And, that made it really easy. They could just call you up. But we had to work our way up through all these phases from the answering service all the way up to now we have cell phones. So all of us in my age group who are actors had to go through all that whole big deal. And so now when people call me and say, how do you get a voiceover business? Well, I guess you make MP3s of a demo thing and you send the MP3 to an agent. I don't know what the process is now. I really don't, because it's so different. I'm in it, people know who I am already. So I have to tell them, I guess you might try this, but you might want to try calling a younger voiceover person to find out how you do it now, because I really don't know. It's I'm a real dinosaur in this racket. It's been going on.
I'm not sure myself. I don't have a professional studio. I just have my computer and my little microphone.
So let me ask you, Amber, what do you want to be when you grow up? seeing those?
I was actually talking about this with my brother a few nights ago. I don't know at the moment. I'm contemplating between radio presenter, voice actress, artist, something along those lines. I mean, I've done one voiceover job myself, and
all right, good for you.
that was for a children's coin-operated helicopter ride. You know, the things that you get in supermarkets and they move and stuff. I was the voice of one of them. The last ride that this company produced because they went bankrupt because of COVID. So I voiced this ride, and it was exhibited in London, and it was beautiful. It was a helicopter, an orange one, and it had my voice on it, and it was just amazing. And I still have the photo right here.
Oh, neat. Look at that. Oh, my gosh.
There's only 2 models in the world because obviously it was stopped production because of COVID.
Yeah.
There's one up in Bradford, which is about 2 hours away from me, and there's one in Iceland.
In Iceland?
in Reykjavik, which is the capital city of Iceland.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to go visit yourself in Iceland.
Yeah, they were going to get some shipped to America, and I was like to my voiceover friends, okay, if it comes to your area, look out for it. I want you to go and hear my voice. But alas, it'll never happen unless I get on another ride, unless I get on a tour. Yeah, I don't know. It depends, really.
I think you've never been here to America.
Never. I've never left the UK before. I really want to, though. I really want to go on holiday to America next summer.
Well, it's a large country.
Next time you come over to England, you'll have to come and see me. So, we'll have to try and meet up if you ever next come to England.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would do that. I like England. There's something kind of calm.
I'll tell you, Liverpool, Beatles everywhere.
Compared to this wild place I live, it's just, oh my God. Not just politically, but the entire western part of the country is on fire.
Is it?
Oh my God, the wildfires in California are just devouring hundreds of thousands of acres of land. The wildfires are just burning practically out of control. The sea levels are rising and in the east, and the beaches are going away, and we've got hurricanes coming in. I live in right smack in hurricane territory down here in Florida. So it's just crazy. But you go to England, and it just seems so calm. You guys all.
It's not always like that. When the Euros final came around and we lost, horrific stabbings everywhere. People getting thrown into the River Thames. People getting beaten up and stuff. It was horrific. Horrific.
Every once in a while, something.
Yeah, I'll have to take you up to Liverpool though. It's literally just Beatles everywhere. They've got the Beatles story, they've got Beatles statue on the waterfront. It's just so good. I'm going there tomorrow actually, so I'm quite excited.
It can't be that far for you, is it?
No, it's only about 40 minutes. And I met Peter and Frank. And I met Peter and Frank there as well. So yeah. It's such a good good place. I call it a blessed place because everything happy just happens there.
Well, it's interesting that people your age still remember the Beatles. A lot of people, kids your age, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you kid, but people
It's okay. It's okay.
And even older, even people in their 20s, they'll say, the Beatles? Who? Paul McCartney? Who?
I only know because, what got me to the Beatles was because Ringo Starr narrated the first 2 seasons of Thomas the Tank Engine, the stop motion series. Yeah. I mean, it was narrated by George Carlin in America, but Ringo Starr did it over here.
George Carlin. He was
funny. I love him. I've seen videos of people dubbing his comedic routines over Thomas, and they're just so funny. Inappropriate, but very funny.
He's my place. But I would say, when I asked you, what you want to be when you grow up, I always say this to young people who haven't decided. I said, look, here's the secret. Find something you really, really like to do, and then find somebody to pay you to do that.
Ooh, that's a very good idea.
Whatever it is, scuba diving, lifting weight, whatever the hell it is. Find something you really like to do, and then go out there and find somebody to pay you to do whatever that is. And then you'll be happy. And the money doesn't, as long as you can make a living in it, it's better to be happy making, 50,000 pounds or whatever you're in pounds, right?
Yeah.
It's happier to make 50,000, be happy making 50,000 pounds a year than being miserable making 500,000 pounds a year, because you'll die by the time you're 40 if you know.
Yeah.
So really, being happy is much more important. Being, when you come in, you get up in the morning and say, I get to do this today, instead of getting up in the morning and saying, oh shit, I have to
Here we
do
go
this
again.
Huge difference in
Yeah.
your whole mindset. It's really important to
Yeah.
enjoy what you do for a living, to make money. Very important, I would say.
That is some good advice, Victor. Now, to round this interview off, I would quickly like to ask you about two shows. Bravest Warriors and Robotics, because I believe you were the narrator for Robotics, if you remember that.
I do think I was. Yes, I was a narrator for Robotics.
Yeah.
I was.
It basically had a lot of Transformers cast members in it. Neil Ross.
It was very much.
It
wasn't a whole lot different from Transformers, because Robotics were
done by the same people: Sunbow, Classic Television, Marvel Productions.
Yeah. And I don't know who. Again, I don't know who the other people were in the Robotics. I don't know who the other voices were. I don't know.
It was basically the same people who did Transformers. So that includes Peter Cullen, Corey Burton, Michael Bell, Neil Ross, Frank Welker, and
because they were it's the people in those days who had the talent that did it. The people who were able to do the voice, do this voice, and then for this character, and then maybe change your voice and do the voice for this over here, and maybe change your voice and do the voice. And those were the people that got the work. Those and then, well, who are we going to get?
Yeah.
Well, why bother to have an audition? Welker's here. Welker can do whatever we need to do.
That reminds me. There was a story about Frank being hired to do an impression of a guy. I can't remember who it was, but it was some famous comedian for an episode of Garfield and Friends, I think. I could be wrong. I apologise if I'm wrong. But on the day of recording, he comes in and they said, "We're very sorry, Frank. We've already found someone who does a better such and such impression than you." And he was devastated. And it was the comedian himself. He was available on that day to come in and do the voice.
It was the actual guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, then, Frank,
so heartbroken for a second.
Oh, jeez. That was a terrible joke to play on. So, what do you mean? I do a perfect whatever it is. It's actually dead on.
No one does it better than Frank, than the person he's impersonating.
Oh, that guy. Oh, okay. All right. I give. He's better.
No one does it better than Frank, better than the person he is impersonating.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And what was the other thing? It was Robotics, and there was one other one.
I can't. Bravest Warriors, you were the paralyzed horse. What was that?
Oh yeah, they called me about that, and they said, "Would you be interested in doing this show?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And they said, "Okay, you're going to be the paralyzed horse." I thought, well, okay. What would a paralyzed horse sound like? And they told me, said, well, a paralyzed horse is kind of the protector of, I forget her name now. Was it Lucy? Linda? Who was the girl? The girl that, the lead girl that kind of owned me. But she was.
I see a Beth.
Beth. That's it. Beth, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
Liliana Mooney.
That's her. Beth.
Okay.
And the paralyzed horse was Beth's protector, basically. And I thought, all right, he needs to have a sound that, first of all, has to sound like not a real thing. It has to sound like a protective aura. A protective aura thing, because there's no such thing as a paralyzed horse. Yeah. Now, I didn't see it because they didn't show it to me. So in fact, I've never seen it because I didn't know where to go to find it. So it has to have a sound like I think it was kind of soft and kind of like that.
Similar to the narrator of Transformers. I was going to say, I just watched a clip of
it
sounds a little bit like
it, I think. And so it was really kind of fun to do because it was crazy. It was just, to me, it almost didn't make any sense. When I read the script, I think, oh, this character's coming in. And then he's doing, and all of a sudden this guy does this, and then this happens, and then, okay, now I come in with this. Well, how am I supposed to do this after this happened to me? And it was really hard to figure out sometimes because it was so complex. Again, I've never seen it. What's it? I guess I could probably go on YouTube and find Bravest Warrior.
Yeah, I've just watched the clip on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Because I never saw it, and I didn't know. Sometimes now Transformers was easy because I knew it followed a line. It followed a line. You know, there was a war going on, and there were the good guys, the Autobots, and there were the bad guys, the Decepticons, and then there was Optimus Prime, and there was Megatron, and there was the guys on the Devils, and all these people, these Transformer characters, and they were either good or they were evil, and they were battling. So there was a through line on this thing. But I couldn't find any kind of a through line. I really wasn't sure what Beth was trying to do. I wasn't really sure where she was or what she was trying to accomplish. So it was kind of a hazy thing for me. And they really weren't very good at explaining anything to me, because I'm trying to think if they were on the phone with me. Were they on the earphones with me when I did it, or did I just do it myself? I can't remember now, because sometimes they're on with me, and they're directing me into it, and sometimes they just send me the script and say, just do it and send it in MP3. You know? Yeah. And I like it better if it's a show like Bravest Warrior. I would rather they would be on with me.
Yeah.
So they say, well, no. That's kind of what's happening here is that. I can go, I see. Whereas if it's a rock and roll station, you know, I know the 2 for Tuesday this week, not that because they're all the same rock and roll station. Or if it's, it's a soft rock station, you can just lighten it up just a little bit, like that. If it's a hard rock station, you kind of drop it down, get a little more gravelly. But they're all the same. So I don't need anybody on the phone with me. Just give me the copy. I'll do it, and I'll just send it to you. Mm-hmm. But when it's a show, you kind of need somebody on the phones with you.
Oh, yeah.
So, and all the Transformers stuff. Well, I was in the studio in New York at the time, because now we all have our own home studios. But back in the day, we had to go to studios in New York and people in LA, because we didn't have home studios. There was no such thing back then. So I was in the studio, and I had people in the studio who were there from the advertising agency or from Hasbro telling me, what the story was and what was going on. They could say, well, this needs to be a little. So those are the two differences there. And with the paralyzed horse, I'm trying to think. I honestly don't remember, Amber, because it was so long ago. If anybody was on with me, I don't think they were. I think they wrote the direction down on a sheet of paper, that was on a copy, and sent it to me. And here I am trying to figure out, what would a paralyzed horse sound like? First of all, what would a horse sound like? And then if you paralyze that horse, then how would that sound change the fact that, they throw some crazy things at you sometimes. And I didn't want it to sound, crazy or anything, or really stupid or anything. I didn't want it to sound wacky, because it didn't sound like the words. He's very kind of poetic, really. So if you listen to what he has to say, he doesn't say wacky, crazy things. He says almost poetic kind of things, very kind of, I don't know, things that are kind of significant.
Yeah.
In a way. And so you can't be too wacky. So I just kind of tried to lighten up my Transformers voice a little bit. But people recognized it. But see, the thing is, I have there was a thing back in the day that was called a signature voice. And I have one of those. And the signature voice, there were a lot of us. There was a fellow named Jeff David, who has since passed away, and he was a very dear friend of mine. Rob Webb, Freddie Collins, and there were a number of us back then, Lou Boudreau, a number of us back in the day. And we had signature voices. The second you heard our voice, I know who that is. I know who that is. I know who that is. And when our voices came on, if you were in the kitchen getting a beer and our voice came on, you'd come out and say, well, where's he want? My wife one time, I'll give you an example. My wife was shopping one day in a store that had the FM station on, just on the speakers coming out of playing music, whatever. It was playing one of the local FM stations. And as it happened, my voice was on that station for whatever it was. And she said, this was amazing. She said, because people are pushing their shopping carts around. She said, the second your voice came on, everybody in the store stopped and looked up. Everybody stopped and looked up.
Wow.
She said, so one day she was in a store that had a bar, a coffee bar in it. And she was walking around the coffee bar. And the same thing happened.
Wow.
It came on, and everybody in the coffee bar turned around and looked over at the speakers as soon as your voice came on. Because when you talk, people listen. And that's called a signature voice. Now, they don't want a signature voice. I went to an audition one time, several years ago. And the recording engineer, who was a friend of mine, Bob Martone, Bob said to me, he said, the director came in to the studio this morning and told me what he wanted. He said he wanted a voice that wouldn't get in the way. I said to him, well, what do you mean, get in the way of what? He said, get in the way of anything. I don't want a voice that's going to get in the way.
Yeah.
I just want to, make my background. Well, that took care of the signature voices because my voice gets in the way. When my commercials come on, when my narrations come on, people listen. And it's not just me. I'm not just blowing my own horn here. All of us guys that had signature voices, and any guy now that has signature voice, except for the people who do and this is the one exception, the movie promos. In a world, or one man, da da da. There are one or two guys who do those movie promos. Those guys get to get away with their signature voices. But the rest of us, you listen to the commercials now on TV? No. It's the guy next door. It's, da, 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 So it's interesting that has happened. And I'm so grateful that I was in this business in the 70s and 80s when we were the ones that made all the money. Now, yeah. Hey, the only price I pay for that is the fact that I am now 79 years old.
So what are you doing nowadays, real quick? Because I'm running out of a little bit of time.
The main thing I'm doing now is theater, community theater. I was an professional equity actor.
Aren't you a photographer as well?
Yeah, I have on my, if you look at my email, there's a thing that says Caroli Photo Art. There's a link at the bottom of my email. If you click on that, you'll see my website comes up. My photography website comes up. And
I'll stick the website in the description. So
yeah, you can go to that. And there's all kinds of galleries. There's fine art, black and white. There's all kinds of Africa. There's all kinds of stuff. And so I've done that. I haven't done a lot of that lately because I haven't been anywhere to take any pictures. I can't go. I can't go to Australia, and I can't go to India, and I can't go to Japan. I can't go to all these places that I've because my wife and I were world travelers. Yeah. We were until COVID came along.
Wow.
And I take all these pictures and do all this stuff. So now it's mainly theater. It's mainly theater that my wife and I are both doing. She is going to open a play called Torch Song Trilogy at one of our local community theaters here on September 10th. And I start rehearsals in sometime in September to this play called Remember, the Story of Abe Price, and I play Abe Price, who was this Holocaust survivor. And it's interesting that a couple of years ago, I did a play called The Interview, which was also, it was a short play. It was a long one act, it ran about 50 minutes. And it was also about a Holocaust survivor whose name also was Abe.
Wow.
He was Abe Muscovich, and this guy's name was Abe Price. And so it was with the Yiddish accent, the whole thing like this, he felt like this with the Yiddish accent. So it's interesting that now I will have played two Holocaust survivors. So I play obviously takes place earlier. I mean, I was born when the Holocaust stuff was going on. I was born in 1942.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff was going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they found out about it. They discovered them in 1945. So I was alive, but I don't remember any of that stuff. There are people my age who claim that they remember all that stuff, and I don't believe it for a second. But anyway, now my life is pretty much consumed with theater. That's my main drive. I'm waiting for the director to send us
Sorry,
the
my
play.
mic's being really loud. I'm not sure if the audio's leaking through. You'll probably just hear some shit.
No, I don't
in the
hear it.
background. Oh, my goodness.
But I'm waiting for the play.
It's allowed
I'm waiting
now.
for the script to be sent to me so I can start learning the lines.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about the theater that I don't like is learning the lines. That's pain in the butt. But you have to do it.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So that's my life now is learning the lines. Oh, and I also direct. There's a lot of readers theaters around. They do readers theater things. There's 2 theaters that do that, and I'm directing one of those in October.
Mm-hmm.
And so I direct readers theater and I do community theater.
Yeah.
And that's really what I love to do is acting.
Same as me.
I love being on stage. Since I was 12 years old, I've always wanted to be an actor.
Same as me.
So I just went out and did it. I said, I'm going to do this. Damn it! I said, they pay people to act, and I like to act, and I'm going to find somebody to pay me to act. And so I found people to pay me to act, and I'm so glad I decided to do that. And in fact, I was exactly your age when my parents said to me, "Do you want to go to college?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And so they said, "Well, what do you want to major in?" I said, "Well, I want to major in theater." And my mom right away said, "Well, you can get a master's degree to teach." I said, "No, Mom, that's not what I had in mind." She said, "Oh, well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, Mom, Dad, I want to be a professional actor." And they didn't, God bless them. This was like, I was 17 in 1959. And they said, they didn't go, like a lot of parents did in those days. Kids wanted to go into the arts. No. I'm not paying for your college. You're going to be an actor or a dancer or a singer. No. Yeah, they kind of, well, they seen me in a few high school plays and they thought, kid ain't bad. They thought, well, you know what? If that's what you want to do, okay. We'll be in favor of you doing that. That's fine. And I'm glad they did that. They supported me. They didn't support me financially. I mean, they did pay for my college. Which was a lot cheaper in those days. So God bless them. So they did support me. They came to see every play I was ever in, ever. And they supported me all the way. And that made it that much easier for me to say, okay, I'm going to be a professional actor. And I went ahead and I did it. Because if they had really said, we really don't want you to, I loved my parents. I really did. They were just marvelous people, both of them. And it would have been so hard to go against the wishes of my parents. It would have been really hard. I would have done it. But the thought of alienating my parents would have been really hurtful to me to do that. And I know it would have been hurtful to them. I'm the firstborn of 3 boys. But they were in favor of it. And it just made it easy for me just to go right on through. I majored in theater at college. Later on in my life, I went to professional acting school. In fact, all my teachers were from the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. But I didn't have to go to England because they came here. There was an acting school here where all the teachers were from RADA, which was great. Because I got that British training, which I think is the best training in the world. Yeah. And so that's how that was my path.
Yeah.
And I took it. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. Go.
That's a good way to round this off. So
I wish I remembered more about robotics, paralyzed horse things.
It's okay. It's okay.
It was so long ago. It's distinguished things.
So, Victor, it's been really lovely talking to you. I'll put your website URL in the description. And you've just been so delightful, and I can't believe, you've only had 3 interviews, and this is the 3rd one you've done related to Transformers.
Yeah.
That's mad. Well, I'd definitely love to have you on again someday, because it seems you have a lot of tales to tell, definitely.
I love to, yeah, well, the old starving actors.
We'll do a part 2. This is not the end.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amber. It's
You're
been a pleasure.
welcome. To you at home, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Victor's website. Give him the love he deserves for being part of the voice of our childhoods, the voice of Transformers. And I will see you around. It's goodbye from me, goodbye from Victor, and goodbye from me. Bye! And cut.